as a chef, I definitely appreciate like, hey, yeah, get in the food scene, Werner. Do it, man. Uh, so thanks to Air Herzog, but more importantly, thank you, Kyle, for another great episode so far. Talked about Popol Vuh and the new German cinema that came along and everything, and yeah, I mean, just it's been fun getting a little bit more into the melodic side of things. I feel this time, there's so much emphasis in like Berlin School and everything, where it's ambient and making new sounds, and definitely with the Popol Vuh material, a lot more melodic, and finding these beautiful scores for the movies. I actually watched Agide as well, so that
Oh,
was
nice, nice.
a fun thing, and like that intro scene is just so epic. With them climbing the hills and everything like that, just really good stuff. So now I have a Werner Herzog love even more so than before. So thank you for that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, Herzog's early stuff is amazing. All the early stuff like Caspar Hauser is really good, Fitzcarraldo, and obviously like all of the documentaries that came along with that. Uh, the Fitzcarraldo documentary about them like actually dragging the ship up over the hill is
Yeah,
crazy. The whole story behind that and the fact that they actually manually did that is bonkers. And obviously like the Klaus Kinski documentary about uh like his best fiend is very funny as well.
I do got to see that one. I was watching that Red Bull Music Academy interview that he did, and they
Sure.
were showing clips of I forget what it was called, but it was like a ski jumping
Oh
documentary, and it was
yeah.
just like showing the super slow shots and everything with like the soundtracks just working perfectly. And yeah, like I think it's something sometimes we take for granted, how much the music and sound really boosts, the film when it's something like so simple like that, that shot, it just slowed down, but all of a sudden the suspense of everything is building just because of the music with it. And it's really masterful work. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited to watch more.
Yeah, the story of that ski jumper is wild. That movie's called The Great Ecstasy of Woodcarver Steiner, and it's about a ski jumper who is so like ahead of the curve in terms of his approach or his technique that they haven't quite like worked out the math for how the ramps are supposed to work. And if he lands like a little too far, he'll actually like just like fall straight flat into the ground. Um, and there's I guess his fear and the like the it's like the ecstasy and the agony of winning the championship, but also potentially dying in the process. So it's
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a high risk, high reward type thing going on there. But no, that looks like a cool one to check out. Yeah, and then I think I had told you, I think like everybody, he came into the limelight for me with Mandalorian. But even then, before that, like the
sure.
little voiceover thing he did on Rick and Morty, it was just kind of one of those like, wait, why do I know that voice? Holy shit, that's the classiest guy in the world, Werner Herzog, here on like the least classy show, on TV. I love it. So yeah, just such a funny guy too. Great personality.
Oh yeah, and he's very funny like on his Instagram as well. His
Oh
personality is he seems serious, but ultimately like it's all kind of funny. Though he does even joke on that the Red Bull interview thing that he doesn't understand like satire, he doesn't understand sarcasm,
yeah,
and it doesn't feel that way though. I feel like yeah, when I was watching that Rick and Morty episode as well, I was kind of like, is this somebody doing like a great Herzog impression,
right.
or is it actually him? And then like you look it up, whatever, maybe a year later, and yeah, it was him. He was there in the studio.
Shrimply Pibbles, the
Shrimply Pibbles.
universe's greatest civil rights leader. I mean,
Yep, yep.
only one man could pull it off as he did. Now you mentioned that the thing about his satire not being able to pick up on it, and that story of him winning the film grant, and then Florian calling him to like plays a prank on him, like, oh hey, sorry, we actually gave it to the wrong person. You're gonna have to give the money back, and starts losing his cool, and then he eventually realizes it's Florian, and he didn't change his voice for any of it, but he just like fell for it, like hook, line, and sinker. So, with a story like that, I almost believe him.
Yeah, I mean, and Florian Fricka does seem like he'd be like a little that he would be like that, especially like at that point in their relationship, because it seems like maybe they had a little bit of a kind of uh, rough relationship towards the end where Florian was kind of harshing on him for his new age lifestyle. I can see a scenario where he like tries to, shake
Just
his
toy with him a
confidence a
little
little bit
bit.
about the film.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and then I guess some of the other stuff too, like Tangerine Dream. It's so weird to me now learning so much about like this krautrock scene and everything going on, and then just seeing how like seamlessly it intertwined with like Hollywood and cinema with Risky Business. That's a huge movie, and here's like, oh, Tangerine Dream. That's amazing doing the soundtrack on this, and yeah, it was really a cool chance to watch that again and just listen to how that was used. Um, and then there was always a joke on Aqua Teen Hunger Force that I never understood. It's like one of the hipster monsters comes into their house looking for his PDA device, and Shake accuses him of stealing it. And the guy says, "What is this? The movie Thief with music by Tangerine Dream?" And I never really like understood that for years and years. And then it's like, oh shit, that's actually a real thing. That's a real movie. And Tangerine. Okay, I get it now. It's not just a random collection of words like most Aqua Teen Hunger Force content.
Yeah, I guess I have to go back and watch that. I haven't seen that episode, but that is what a like deep cut random reference.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why I was just like, that, that can't be real. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. Yeah, I think the episode's called PDA. It was like first or second season.
Gotcha, gotcha. I watched a lot
Or
of those early ones, but maybe I guess like that reference is just something that like it totally went whoosh, you know.
yeah,
Um,
no, I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and it registered with me again. It's like, oh, I know what that means now. I know what a tangerine dream is. Yes, yes.
that's so random.
Yeah.
Um, the yeah, what I guess what else? What other crazy stuff did I not get to in the main section? The joke with Florian Frick is very funny about him not winning the grant
Hmm.
from like the movie thing. Did you get a chance to watch the Wim Wenders movie, the Alice in the Cities?
No.
Yeah, I feel like
Let, let's see if
it
I can.
it's so like Can did the soundtrack for Alice in the Cities. It's like an early Wim Wenders film, and it is very slow. It's one of those kind of like slice of life kind of things from the early
Okay.
New German cinema. Not to say that like, I mean, obviously even the Herzog stuff is pretty slow, right? Gide and Fitzcarraldo, like
Totally.
you know the there's an hour of Fitzcarraldo where they're just trying to drag a ship over a hill. But with Alice in the Cities, it's the funny thing that happens with Can a lot is that they only license like one song. So the
Mm,
song that they license for Alice in the Cities is just the song Alice, which is off of I think it's I forget which record it's like a later record of that they catalog a lot of their unreleased material, and it's
gotcha.
maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of like kind of guitar noodling and stuff, but it's just reused over and over throughout the whole film, and it does give the movie this kind of like sad vibe, even when it's not like they're not particularly sad parts.
Mm,
It's kind of weird that they didn't like go back and say, "Hey, Ermin, can you record something that's like a little bit more upbeat for like?"
yeah.
There's one part where they're like chilling in like an ice cream shop, and it's like,
How
oh,
can you
this
not
should
have a
have
good
like a
time in an
kind of
ice cream shop? I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
they
that's
should have like an upbeat little thing in this, and it's and then it comes and the Can thing comes in, and it's like you know downer again.
yeah.
The other thing,
I'm looking at it. Oh, it's a Criterion one too. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that should be easy to track down then for sure.
The the other thing about the other Can thing, that Das Messer movie, or it's a mini series. I have always, anytime I've listened to Can in the past, I always kind of put it in this category of like, psychedelic, kind of out there, crazy sounds. And I've never really thought about it in context of any kind of film or movie. But you go back and you watch The Knife, which is just like a really kind of formulaic crime drama.
Hmm.
And using that like opening where it's like boom, 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 boom. and it's just like, oh, it does have a little bit of that like kind of 70s crime drama feel. And now
Yeah,
when I listen to it, all I can think of is like these guys running around in their cars in the 70s and it being that kind of like goofy crime drama sound. And
the German equivalent of like Superfly and Shaft.
yeah, yeah, or even like it also makes me think of the Beastie Boys video for Sabotage, because it even has that kind of feel, like they have those kind of haircuts and everything. Um, but it has completely changed the way I hear that song. So if you're out there and you love Ege Bamiasi and you love Spoon and you don't want your opinion of the song to change, don't go
Avoid that
back and
one.
watch Das Messer.
I think I have to now just to say I've seen it. I mean, I love the Beastie Boys Sabotage video, so like how could I not, fall in love even more so with this one?
Oh, for sure. It definitely has that vibe. Um, and then the Crystal Cradle, I I've been wanting to watch that for a really long time, and I haven't. Not because I just because like it's not easy to get. It's
Mm.
not on the Criterion Collection. It's not even on like YouTube. I
Yeah.
found it on like the Russian equivalent of YouTube, and
Oh
ended up
wow,
like
okay.
downloading it and putting it on my like our media server at home. And I had anticipated it being more narrative than it is. It's really just this weird, like psychedelic project, I guess. And the music, Manuel Gottschalk's music is great, but the movie itself is kind of a letdown. I was expecting it to
Mm.
be like more fantastical and stuff, but it's really just kind of like a psychedelic portrait, if you will.
Gotcha. Yeah, I that was what I was searching all over the place for as well. And I mean, I didn't scour hard enough. If you found it, then good on you, sir.
I was looking it up in that like the French, like the Le Bercau de Cristal.
Oh,
Um,
gotcha.
So that's how I had found it. It's yeah. I don't want to ruin like the movie, but the ending is a little dark.
Is Nico the main in that movie?
Yeah, she's the main character. Yeah, so
Okay,
so
yeah.
it's I would say 90% of the film is just like random still shots of her like smoking a cigarette and writing poetry.
Okay. I mean, as long as the music's good, I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could throw it on the background. You're not
E-
missing much scene to scene.
exactly. A good cleaning movie.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
I'm curious, I shot you over some questions to ponder over a little bit. And, we
yeah.
look at these relationships. The one that comes to mind, obviously, is like Florian and Werner, and kind of their great success together. If you had the opportunity to work with a director to score maybe 4 or 5 movies, who would you want to work with? Is there like a certain filmmaker that connects to you artistically, or, you just want to, like, I could do better than these soundtracks, any of that kind of stuff?
I don't know that I would say I could do better per se. But I would say that I've always really liked the soundtrack work by Jim Jarmusch. He does the vampire movie Only Lovers Left Alive, and he has like a side project that he records music with called Squirrel. It's like SQU umlaut RL,
Oh,
and it's all like the darker, it sounds very similar to like darker versions of Popol Vuh stuff. So if you think of like some of the tracks off of Heart of Glass, that soundtrack, where it's kind of like that dark, kind of plotting, droning stuff,
yeah.
a lot of his soundtrack work is like that. I think like aesthetically, that's something that I would have in common with him, and I think we could have a lot of common ground. And I like his movies as well. I liked Only Lovers Left Alive. I've liked some of his other films. I know he also is like really into the psych rock scene as well. Only Lovers Left Alive has the band White Hills in it, which is like a crazy good psych rock band from Texas. Um, so yeah, I think I'd want to work with him. I think if there was, I do like animation stuff. I don't know if you know
Oh, yeah.
of Osamu Tezuka. He did like the Astro Boy manga, and he did a bunch of like short form animations like throughout the 80s, and none of them have soundtracks. They're all
Oh,
like there's a lot of like foley work. So there's one called Jumping, where it's like this weird fever dream of like a guy jumping, and every time he jumps he gets higher, but like he
oh,
doesn't
weird.
get hurt from landing. So it's like at one point he's like jumping onto like a skyscraper and jumping off, and then like that kind of stuff. But it's just like the sound of him jumping and these kind of like incidental noises. At one point, he like jumps into a farm and there's like all these like chicken noises and stuff. But I think having like soundtrack work over some of those early films would be cool, and I think he would be fun to work with. Like you could do some like really out there like '80s synth stuff. Um, I don't know. He may not still be alive, but you know if he was, I think it'd be fun to do like a bunch of short form like animation work with him.
I mean, that'd be kind of fun, yeah, even just to pull those down and experiment with them and throw them up on YouTube and see if anybody
Oh sure.
likes it, type thing. I mean, that's a perfect palette to do something like that. And I was thinking
Oh
when you
yeah.
said that, like those jumping sounds and things like that would make for fun, like drone manipulation type stuff too, to
Yep.
have in the
Yeah.
background. Yeah, just get really out there with it and add to the fever dream of it all.
How about you? Would you? I mean, you record stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm eating my own words here because, like I said, could do it better. Like the ones that I would want to work with, that their stuff is already so good. Like David Lynch, all the
Oh
Twin
God,
Peaks
yeah.
stuff, like to be able to play, some of those sounds and just to score such weird TV and weird, visuals and I don't know, that'd be so much fun. And then I think the other one that comes to mind for me is David Fincher, just because his movies have that dark grittiness, but I think there's a good balance with the soundtracks of being kind of in that dark ambient space.
Yeah.
Social Network to me comes to mind as like good story, but the music really helps push like the anxiousness and urgency of the narrative and everything, and just kind of builds the tension. But I think I realized my line would be like doing a Benny Safdie movie would be too much, just because his are so stressful and so anxiety driven. I feel like watching the clips over and over would just stress me the hell out, and I don't even know if I'd be able to make music on it, just because his movies are so
Oh yeah.
punching at times. Yeah, so those would be the ones I'd want to work with. But
He did Uncut Gems.
yep,
Yeah. I feel and like also you're competing with like insane people that have done that stuff, like the Angelo Badalamenti stuff from
right,
like, Twin Peaks with Lynch. Like his stuff is crazy, and then also like the Fincher stuff. Like you're up against the Dust Brothers, or like yeah, I
Resner
mean
and
that would
Ross. Yeah, I mean like
or and the Nine Inch Nails guy. Yeah, yeah, the Nine Inch Nails project. And then even for like Uncut Gems, that was the guy from uh how do you say it? Like Oniatrix Point Never, which is that guy's crazy too.
hold on, let me look that up real quick, just so we don't. Yeah, Oniatrix Point Never. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
mean, again, like that's the thing. Like, I couldn't do better, but man, it'd be fun to just strip the music out, for a project and see what I came up with, and oh, this is the way I would score it, but you guys are better than me, so it's okay.
it'd be worth seeing what you came up with though. I mean, it'd be
Totally,
fun for sure.
totally, or even just like a scene or two at a time. Where do you stand on kind of the Hans Zimmer? Like let's just drop a really big, nasty noise in here for the soundtrack. I think the first time I saw Inception in theaters, the IMAX sound and everything, like it definitely adds to the movie. But is it too minimalist, for some of these scenes, or is it just kind of a evolution of we can make this sound, it helps highlight this emotion, and let's run with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of movies have that approach and that style. I don't think of Johnny Greenwood as somebody that is necessarily like in the same world as Hans Zimmer, but if you go back and you listen to There Will Be Blood, his approach is really similar. All of the tracks are really these kind of crescendo based minimalist pieces. Because you had asked kind of earlier like if what are some of your favorite OSTs, and I was kind of going through. I was trying to think of movies that I really liked, and as I was going through, I was like, actually, I wouldn't listen to this. And I think There Will Be Blood really, that soundtrack really works for that movie, but I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't go back and like listen to it as a standalone piece. And I think
Right.
similarly, like Daniel Bloomberg from Yuck, the soundtrack that he did for The Brutalist is similar. Um, and I don't think it's reflective necessarily of of their artistic vision necessarily, so much as like that's what suited the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that there are movie types of movies where you can have more melodic stuff. I think it just so happens that Herzog is using some of like hyper melodic stuff from Popol Vuh um, in context of the movie because it, you know, in Heart of Glass they have those like kind of like more village scenes where it's just kind of people walking around, and that kind of folky melodic villagey music really makes sense there. In the
Right.
same way that like, you know, Joe Hisaishi's stuff for all of the Ghibli movies, it's like cartoons, like that kind of hyper melodic approach makes sense in that context. I think it just like
Yeah.
Zimmer always gets pulled in to do these like huge scores for something like Inception that's going to, you know, it's got uh what's his name, Leonardo DiCaprio in it, right? Like it's going to
Yeah.
be this like, huge film that's going to be very driven, like visually driven. So having that kind of like minimalist crescendo based music makes sense because you're like what you're seeing on screen is bonkers. But I think
Yeah.
even for like those early Herzog movies, a bunch of dudes dragging stuff up and down a hill. You need some music to really like really in.
If you want people to stay there, yeah, I mean, you still gotta, give them a little something to work with. I mean, I guess that's a good way to look at it with the more modern stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of the sprinkles, so to speak, on top of the cake. I mean, they're playing the role that they need to for the film, and it's not about like, well, sure, I could compose this grand masterful piece, or I could just do what fits the mood, the moment. And I think, for me, that's kind of the cool thing about like soundtrack artists, people that work in that medium is like you're not necessarily working in normal conventions. You are just trying to like build, the scene with the director. You're trying to, help grow this product. So it's kind of a shared vision, and at the same time, it's you have to show a little bit of restraint sometimes too. I think, and not just I can do all this. Oh no, but we don't need that. This character is giving a nice moving speech here. Let's tone it back a little bit. So, I don't know. It's definitely a whole other realm of music I'd love to explore sometime, and just getting into that mindset of writing a soundtrack or a score and seeing how it comes out.
Yeah, I think there's also the communication piece is big now. The idea that you can like email somebody or have like a video chat about the track and really make these small tweaks. There's a good interview with Kyle, what's his last name? The guy from Stranger Things. Um, oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Uh,
I forget his last name. The guy he's from Survive. Yeah, let's see,
Kyle
Survive.
Dixon.
Kyle Dixon, yeah. Kyle
Yeah.
Dixon, where he talks about, you know, they would come up with these frameworks for some of the tracks for Stranger Things, and as they were like dropping the tracks over the film, they would come back and they'd be like, actually, can you extend like this drone piece like 4 more seconds so that the crescendo comes right when the, you know, like the monster's gonna jump out or whatever. And I think what you didn't have in like the 70s with Herzog and all these other folks is they didn't have that like immediate ability to communicate. And I don't think they were, you know, you couldn't record something at the level of quality that they wanted for the movies and also be in the room editing it in real time. Or I mean if they did, it was like an absolute luxury for like a very very high budget film. So I
Right.
think that's where, like we were talking about before with like Wim Wenders and Can, like they're just recycling the same track over and over again because ultimately like they just didn't have
It's what they got.
another
Yeah.
piece of music to use. Um, so I think in terms of serving the movie, like we can do it a lot better now.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I mean, yeah, I could record something right now and send it over to you via email in about 90 seconds, and it'd be like done. Back in the day, you had to do all sorts of things, I'm sure, to get that from sound studio over to, being able to splice it into the film. I mean, I can't imagine the work that went into just that.
Right. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Or even just like guys with really low budgets where they're like trying to use stuff from KPM library or something like that, where they're having to take it off of a record instead of the tape. I don't even know how
Right.
that worked. That was probably bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful for the technology we have these days. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I can't
Certainly
even
makes it
imagine trying to
a lot easier.
dub your movie and you find that there's like a pop on the one track you want to use and you've got to like roll it back or buy another copy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we were trying to dub the movie today, but there's a pop on side 2 of our KPM library thing we have to put out for a new record. Like, oh my
Sort out.
god, dude, how annoying.
Yep. Oy, 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 oy. Well, what do you think? Do you want to highlight a few tracks here?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we did another playlist for this one, and we can jump in on some of the tracks. I think everybody's heard Spoon, so we don't have to go through that. Um, I should hope by episode 4 you've heard a couple Can tracks.
I would
Um,
hope.
yeah, yeah. I think it might be cool to listen to the Asherah Temple track from the Crystal Cradle, and not because uh, the movie is great or anything like that, but just to show like what Manuel Gutching was doing like at that time, and just to like set the scene. This is like post Asherah Temple, so the guys from Asherah Temple have essentially broken up, and it's just Manuel on his own. He's been dropped off of the label with Ulrich Kaiser because
Mm,
Kaiser has lost all of his funding because he's using acid like crazy, and he's gotten sued by a couple other artists for not promoting their records correctly, and so Gutching is now without a label, without a band, trying to come up with what he's going to do next. And this is prior to him recording his next album, which would have been Inventions for Electric Guitar. And he's on a tour with his buddy uh, from Agitation Free, Lutz, and they are doing a tour where they're opening for Nico and Can, and he gets invited by Nico's friend Philippa Gurel to record a soundtrack for this movie. And
okay.
they're so this is kind of like his first attempt at writing anything that's for like a film or a soundtrack, and it's prior to his like adoption of. Oh, and let me just rewind one sec. He's released Inventions for Electric Guitar, but this is prior to him releasing the next album, which would be um, New Age of Earth, which was a
Okay.
predominantly electronic album where he was able to get like some synthesizers and start producing like fully synthesized albums, similar to like Tangerine Dream and such so on. So this is a really cool transitional piece that sits between Inventions for Electric Guitar, where he's still being like primarily a guitarist, and New Age of Earth, where he's like fully taken on the kind of electronic stuff that he would do later in his career, particularly for like E2 E4, which is like a
Yeah.
proto techno album, and this is kind of like his first attempt at using synthesizers in a like longer form context, but it still retains a lot of like the guitar stuff as well. Uh, anyway, it's just a really cool piece from Manuel Gutching's catalog that people might not have heard and might not understand the transition between Inventions for Electric Guitar to um, New Age Earth.
Yeah, that definitely gives some interesting context because I was wondering where it kind of fit in that timeline because, it's definitely a guy that had different lives, so to speak, musically. And
True.
yeah, listening to this one, like, great work. But yeah, kind of different in its own way than like how much I've listened to, the guitar albums. And then it's listened to this one. Oh, okay, that's a little bit different. And then, like you said, E2, E4, he's doing electronic techno type stuff basically. So yeah, cool to see the progression. And actually, funny enough, the second time this week we've talked Goching because he came up on our LCD sound system episode,
Oh, really?
as James Murphy had done this track EP type thing for Nike, where he wanted to, I think it was called 4533, and
Oh,
he wanted to make it like a tribute to Goching's like E2, E4, but the music was supposed to be like music you run to, and it kind of peaks and ebbs and flows with like the accomplishment of running and something you'd listen to on a treadmill. Nike Plus had it on their app. And the funny part for Murphy was he lied about being a runner to get the thing, just because he didn't want to work on his second album at the time. Like, oh, you're a runner? Oh, yeah, yeah, of course, all the time.
yeah,
Um,
that beer belly says a different story, James.
exactly, exactly. Those baby cheeks tell us something different. But hey, I mean, it worked out for him.
That's
But yeah,
cool
no,
though.
it's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, the guy, drops a can reference in one of the songs.
Oh,
He's talking
true.
about goaching. Like, okay, and yeah, we walked away. Or at least I did. Like, loving him, for all the hardcore nerd knowledge the guy drops into his songs and everything. So that just goes to show that even the nerdy musicians can make some really cool stuff.
True. True. Oh yeah, so let's
All
jump
right,
in. I think this track is called "Le Soirée Volée."
all right.
Hello?
Good time for that to drop in.
What? Feel it.
The special guest remix by my son on vocals.
Nice.
Yes. But no, I love that one. I think this is the second time you put together a playlist where Goching ends up stealing the show for me, and just I don't know, like the patterns of that song and how he keeps it simple, but still finds ways to keep it dynamic within there and really just builds upon it. And yeah, just seeing that, like, imagine that now with kind of some of those still shots I saw of the film, like, okay, I kind of do have to see this because this just sounds like it's going to be a really weird moment, watching this stuff. So I'm intrigued to watch more.
Yeah, it is a weird movie. But like I would say Goching's background or Goching's soundtrack really saves the movie. I think without that it would be really weird. And I wonder what other kinds of music you could even use. I feel like you could probably
Dad,
do maybe like
go walk in front of us.
a Lou Reed style
Dad.
drone thing. I think that's maybe kind of the direction that he was intending to go. Or maybe, like cuz it's Nico, you've got Philippa Garrel, might be that kind of thing. But overall, yeah, it's a soundtrack like really fits it in this way that I don't even think Lou Reed would have necessarily done because he doesn't have the synth stuff. It does give it this kind of futuristic feel that suits the psychedelic aspect of the movie. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's. Do you think it's worth watching if I like the music? Or should
uh,
I just, I mean,
I would
or is it
say
just
it's
worth
worth.
having on to hear it?
Yeah, maybe just listen to the soundtrack.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of torn on that one. Only get so much movie time, but
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think you need to sit down with a bowl of popcorn.
okay. Okay. Yeah. That's not Citizen Kane. Good enough.
No, no, it's not Citizen Kane.
Okay.
No offense to Philippa Garrel.
No,
Um,
I mean, he made more movies than I've made, so that's,
true, true.
kudos to him. All
Um,
right. What do you got next for us?
yeah, I think next the next thing we should listen to is some Tangerine Dream, um, and in particular, Love on a Real Train. I think when I was, I don't know, probably I'm trying to think what year did Risky Business come out? Uh, how old
Oh,
would I have been? Trying to let me Google it.
83.
83. Oh, that's even crazier. So I must have seen it. I mean, I wasn't born yet, so I must
Yeah,
have
that
seen it
was
on as like a rerun on TNT or something.
totally.
But I remember watching that probably 12 or 13 years old and just like thinking the entire soundtrack was super cool and really wanting to buy it. And it just you couldn't get it anywhere. I remember going to the Wall. There was a local record store in our town and they didn't have it. Um, and asking people, you'd be like, "Oh, do you have like?" Because at the time, like, if you wanted to get very shortly before this, like a couple years before this, I remember going to the Wall. I'm like maybe 10 years old, and the new Adams Family movies come out, right? and that like there was the Adams Family MC Hammer tie-in that as like a 10-year-old I was very into, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very easy to like you could pick up the single of the Adams Family song, you could pick up like the soundtrack that had all of the Adams Family songs plus the MC Hammer track. So when I'm going to like the wall as a 12-year-old, I'm like, hey, I want to pick up the Risky Business soundtrack, and they're all just like, yeah, sorry kid, that came out in like 85. We haven't had copies of that
Right.
for 20 years. um
But it's
and
Tom Cruise. You must surely.
yeah, how can you not still have copies of this
Yeah.
soundtrack? And there was a local record store in our town that had like used stuff. So I remember going back there a couple times trying to find it, like thinking, oh well, somebody's got to be tired of that soundtrack by now. I can
Right.
definitely get a copy. But the and I told the story about trying to get the reissue that did come out in '97, but
Mm.
was super expensive because it was based on like the audio kit. So there was like a 2 record audio kit that was sent out to as like a promo to folks that were promoting the film, and you could use it on the radio. So you could put it had like little quotes from the movie and stuff like in advance of the movie coming out. So if you were like Terry
Gotcha.
Gross on Fresh Air, you could play like a little track of the movie and then some of the songs from the soundtrack. It was meant to be used as part of like a promotional thing, but they reissued that audio kit on CD. But it was very very expensive, just in context of like as a promotional item, and I couldn't afford that. But I loved that track, "Love on a Real Train," and always wanted to like have it on my Walkman, listen to it as I rode my bike around, and could not get it until Napster came around in like 1999. Um, but this track is, I think a lot of people probably see this as like the pinnacle of Tangerine Dream's fame. Ultimately, they
Yeah.
were more famous for doing kind of their soundtrack work than anything else. Risky Business was by far the most popular movie they soundtracked, and this scene is like like a peak in the film. Like it's after uh, he's had the big party, he's on the train. There's the really weird scene of like the homeless man like peeping on them as they're boning on the train, and it ends up being like yeah, like a highlight of the movie. And then immediately after that, right, he's all of his furniture stolen by Guido the pimp, uh, and
It happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then Guido the pimp is also like another great track from the soundtrack that has its own crazy part. But anyway, um, yeah. So
I had
this,
the same painstaking years-long experience, like all joking aside, trying to track down the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack
sure,
because there was like so much shred guitar on it that I was just in love with. And it wasn't until like Napster, Audio Galaxy, those things started coming around where I could finally like piece it together and burn it onto a CD. And then eventually Steve Vai had put out, I think it was like Elusive Light and Sound Volume 1 or something along those lines, where it was a compilation of all these like soundtrack works, little just riffing for like PCU and for that movie, and like even the guitar solo at the end of the movie was just its own little standalone cut there, so I could
oh no way.
listen to the guitar solo and like I don't care about the Kiss song playing, just give me the guitar solo. It's Steve
Is
Vai.
is Bogus Journey the one that has the extreme track on it?
That's Excellent Adventure, and that's
Ah,
and I talk about like a soundtrack that like hit me over the head as to like I want to go to this.
yes.
As soon as I heard "Play with Me," like, oh man, this is so cheesy but so incredible. Nuno, I love you.
Yeah, Nuno Betancourt, man, what a shredder! Like, talk
Yeah.
about like neoclassical. Like, he's up there with Randy Rhoads in
Oh
that.
yeah, I finally got to see him live 3 years ago, and like didn't disappoint one bit. I mean, like every single song, he's just still cutting it and absolutely ridiculous chops. And kind of like I get it because you know their biggest commercial hit was uh, pretty cheesy,
Oh
radio
yeah.
stuff, and even then, like their good stuff, is still kind of hokey in its own way. But I'm just surprised he's not bigger, you know.
Well, he never
But
did like a solo record that like
right,
captured that vibe. Like he could have. I mean, but it's the same thing with Randy Rhoads, right? Randy Rhoads could have done an amazing like solo record that
yeah,
really showcased his classical chops in the way that Ingwie did, and yet he just died too early.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just another one of those. And I think it didn't help him that they were coming up basically as grunge was taking over. So it was kind
True.
of like, the last shreds of the shred era. So, but enough
Well,
about Nuno. Let's listen to Tangerine Dream.
oh yeah, let's jump into Tangerine Dream. Love on a Real
All
Train.
right. The when the low parts start coming in there, it just gives me the chills every time. I don't know. It's maybe just like the chord arrangement on that one. It just does it for me. It's such a good one.
I mean, they were using the best of the best at that time, right? They had the the highest fidelity tape you could get, and they're using awesome synths. They
Yeah. They had a
yeah,
Hollywood budget. Yeah,
true.
that helps. So speaking of budgets, you tell a great story in there about it was Fricka, right, getting the Moog for
Yep.
$11,000,
Yep.
thanks to his very well-to-do lady friend.
Mhm.
I put
Mhm.
it to you, budget aside, and you can get weird with it. If you had a Sugar Mama bankroll and any instrument in the world for you, uh, because it's going to change music history and send you on your way, what would you get?
Yeah, man. I thought about this for such a long time, and like I need to reiterate for everybody, it's $11,500 in 1969 money, so over a hundred
Mm-hmm.
thousand dollars in 2026, and it's a hard question for a couple of reasons. One, like we have to think of the Moog 3P as cutting edge technology, right? This is pre CMOS chips, pre op amps. Amps do not exist. Something that is like very fundamental to current music technology was
Yeah.
did not exist. Tempco resistors for temperature stabilization did not exist. So this is like they're using transistor technology that is like literally the cutting edge, the newest of the new, and we today are in this world of like we're at the mature end of the technology life cycle for audio. It would be difficult to spend $100,000 on something. I think, especially if it was just like one device. I think you could
Yeah.
buy like just out of sheer rarity, you could probably buy like a sealed box CS80 for 100 grand maybe, or like a DX1 because I think there's only three. They made three of the DX1s.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so like something like that I could maybe spend on. I think you could also you could buy like a custom rose like Brazilian rosewood extinct wood acoustic guitar, for like 100 grand
Yeah.
if you wanted to. But like I can't think of anything else that would be like the equivalent today where you would by buying that you would literally change the face of music based solely on
Right.
your access to the technology. It just that kind of world I don't think exists now. The only thing I could think of as I was kind of going through this was like, well, you know what, like we got to go to Futurama. It's got to be the holophoner, right? Like that's what I would buy,
100%.
a holophone.
100%.
Yeah,
No, it's interesting you say that because, I thought about that too. And just kind of like, well, I don't know if it's anything purely for audio that could do that. Like even one of those like Slayer or Yngwie size wall of Marshalls is only going to be 20 grand,
sure.
like a Jimi Hendrix used guitar, like that's not going to change anything as much as it's a cool relic. Um, but no, I thought about it like maybe that's something where I get put together like a pedal of conference builders or something like that to all come together for a weekend and just build, give them hallucinogens and just build some pedal ideas and see what comes out of it. All the weird guys, Keeley and Earthquaker guys, and just I don't know, use it as like what new ideas can we come out of this? What is the equipment that you guys could make if you guys had $100,000 amongst yourselves? You know, track down the old parts, commission a new chip, whatever the case may be. Like,
Yeah.
if you have an idea, do it. Because yeah, you're right. I mean, like that kind of money, I could buy 46 pedal boards worth of equipment, but like I don't know, not gonna change much again. So I don't know. I think I'd want to invest in just research and breaking out of the box.
I mean, that's a great idea. Yeah. Hire Chase Bliss to just make something whacked out for you. Are those
Exactly. Just start pulling, like words out of a hat. Literally, I want it to do this and this and okay, yeah, go get to it. See what you got. The other idea I had was the sphere screen, like a portable version I could take around to like do shows with.
I
Just
mean,
kind of
what
that.
that's basically like the wall, right? I mean,
Right.
you're because I think what the first three shows for the wall, they brought the entire amphitheater
Yes.
with them, and
Yes.
it was shaped like that big bug.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
No, I
that would be an awesome spend for 100 grand.
yeah. I mean, I tend to think it's probably 10, 50
Maybe
times
10
that
mil
cost.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I heard they're building another one, so maybe the price will start going down. The more of them are out there, just like the high def TVs were. But I don't know. It's definitely fun to think on what kind of music things you could do with that. I mean, I would say, have you done a Sphere show yet?
No, no, I haven't been.
Okay, it's definitely like an evolution, in the whole experience and pretty intense, but definitely worth
I've
it.
watched that video of the sound technology they're using. They're not using speaker arrays, right? There's individual speakers in the ceiling that aim at every seat, right? So
Hmm.
it's got to be, yeah, that is weird. Uh,
It's a very weird experience. Like, and we saw the Dead there last year, and super cool. I can't even imagine Metallica's doing a residency there. Tool was supposed to open it apparently. Came out in
oh,
an interview a couple of days ago, just because of how like how much their stuff is visually out there and fun and perfect for that setting. So when the time comes to experiencing them there, it's like that compared to seeing them at the Tacoma Dome is going to be quite a vast difference, I would imagine.
oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, have been hoping for years that or since I heard about the Sphere thing opening that maybe Waters would bury the hatchet with Gilmore, but I don't think so. Probably not going to happen,
You
especially now.
know, at this point, like I'll take either one of them playing the Sphere. I'll even take Nick Mason's,
Oh,
like
the
late
saucer full of
'60s.
secrets thing? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
so good. Like
yeah.
if Nick Mason wants to play the Sphere, I will go. Like that would be
Oh, for
amazing.
sure. I would
It's a
do
great
that.
show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we talked about that too this week. Brady and I just not holding out much hope for that, and kind of makes us sad, makes us angry. But yeah,
I mean, I
it
will
is what it
say,
is.
yeah,
I wouldn't
Brady's.
want to be in a room with Roger Waters for that long either, so I get it.
No, I don't know. I like him. I
I
think
want
he's
to
cool.
talk to him. I want to meet him. But
Yeah,
yeah, he definitely sounds like you know, he could be a lot maybe to tour with.
I think he had a tour with. He gives off a kind of almost a Larry David esque like personal vibe where you never know like where he's gonna cross the line with you. Um,
Hmm.
but
Larry David, but maybe less, like 20% less funny.
yeah, way less funny. Yeah, yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, what do you got for us next here?
Yeah, for next on the playlist, let's. So I mean, obviously, most of the narrative at the front was about Popol Vuh. Let's jump into some Popol Vuh tracks. I think like for me, the best track in the catalog is Morgan Gruss. It ends up on multiple records, so it ends up on the Aguirre soundtrack as Morgan Gruss 2. There is an earlier recording that's on Einsjager und Siebenjager, which is just called Morgan Gruss. It's effectively like the same arrangement, but it is definitely like the best track. It's got Danny Fischler on it, so he's doing or Fischler on it. He's doing his awesome soloing, and I don't think there's another track that is like more representative of Florian Fricke's arrangement style, Danny's contributions, like to the melodic guitar playing,
Yeah.
and just overall, like what if if you're gonna give one person a track to listen to, that was Popol Vuh. I know a lot of people would probably try to have you listen to Agire, which is like the choral track, but I would say like the majority of the catalog doesn't sound like that. The majority of the
Right.
catalog really sounds like Morgan Gruss. Like that's kind of a quintessential aspect of their sound. There's always a track like Morgan Gruss on every record, whether it's
Mm.
from about Hosanna Mantra all the way through Last Days, Last Nights. There's at least one track that kind of sits in that wheelhouse, and I would say this is the peak of that style of theirs, of that kind of track.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that one hit me over the head the first time I heard it, and I mean, we texted a little bit, and you
yeah,
had
yeah.
brought up like he's on Fischer is like on the level of like David Gilmour when it comes to that melodic playing. Kind of like had to really dig in and like study that comment, but at the same time, the more I listened, like yeah, just incredibly tasteful chops, and um, again, just knowing it's a score, it's not a show off, it's not a jam, it's let's do this beautiful melodic thing right here. Anything more would be too much, and anything less would be kind of underwhelming. But it's just perfect how he nails these parts.
True. Yeah.
All right, well let's give it a listen. Morgan Gruss 2. Yeah, that's. I want that music for me when I'm walking around on a nice day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's just so serene, and yeah, it's such beautiful sounds going on there. Do you happen to know like did he have a particular brand, guitar, amp, any of that stuff going on? Any insights
I
onto his gear on that one? Because
I don't
whatever
know.
it is, like, I don't know. I mean, he could probably be playing a Fisher Price guitar through a tin can and it'd sound good. But uh, yeah, just so good.
I mean, he's primarily known as a drummer because he was the drummer for Amandul. I mean,
Right.
there's a couple photos of him from back in the day, and let's see, what's he jamming on? He's got an Ibanez, but I think that's probably too late for his
Hmm.
time when he was playing with Fricka. Yeah, what other photos do they have of him? Yeah, he's almost always playing the drums or an
Okay.
acoustic guitar. There's a lot of photos of him with
Yeah.
Fricka playing an acoustic. So yeah, I don't know. I suspect, just given the time period, he's probably just playing like a Strat. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Something, nothing too out there. Just a lot of that in the fingers.
I think it's in the figures. I think like there are interviews with Fricka where he talks about humming a lot of like the melodies to both him and to Connie Viet. So I suspect that they were probably, you know, Fricka is probably humming a bunch of stuff to them as they're trying to like track stuff, and obviously like they're also trying to make the phrasing sound guitarish, so
Right.
I think they're probably adding stuff in based on that. And then like as time went on, absolutely, like Fricka isn't necessarily standing over Danny's shoulder being like here's the melody, especially like the story for like Last Days Last Nights. He's basically put in charge of producing the record as Fricka has gone on this like Himalayan hiking adventure.
Mm.
So I think in those instances, Danny
That
was kind
was
of
a
left up to his own
damn good.
devices.
damn good album too. So yeah, probably a good time for him to take a break and let Danny shine for a little bit.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well, do you want to do one more before we wrap up, or what do you think?
Yeah, we could play one more track. I guess let's do one more Popol Vuh track. Let's do a track in a different style. So like the playlist, if you guys go back to the playlist, we got a couple can songs on there. So there's Spoon and the Wim Wenders track Alice. We did Love on a Real Train from Tangerine Dream, as well as the theme from the Sorcerer soundtrack, which is called Betrayal. And we added that the Manuel Goching track that we listened to earlier. There's a number of other tracks that we have from various points in the Popol Vuh career. So Morgan Goose is on there. There's a track from the Nosferatu soundtrack. There's a really good like heavy track from the Heart of Glass soundtrack, and the this track that I want to play next is actually going to be the last track on the playlist. It's called "Why Do I Still Sleep." It's not off of a soundtrack. It's off of one of Popol Vuh's standalone albums called Agape Agape, and it is, as I talk about at the end of the narrative part of the playlist, it's a really unique piece in their catalog because it is essentially like a piano motif that repeats. But I think the question for me that I always think about is like, did he record it like that on purpose? Did he want it to have the kind of destabilized tape affect that the track has? Or was it something where he was so happy with that performance and it was a demo that he kept it even though the recording quality wasn't that good? And this would have been from, let's see, what does Agape Agape come out? Whoop. By Popol Vuh. Came out in 83. So, I mean,
Okay.
by 83, there is a little bit of the kind of warped, warbly stuff going on. Like chorus pedals are a thing at this time.
Right.
You're getting into like 80s effect territory. But it has a kind of has a quality that is like a little bit more than just 80s chorus, right? And I think for whatever reason it connects to me on a level of like you've got bands like Cocteau Twins and other bands in the 80s that by like the mid 90s other bands are trying to reproduce that sound, but they're going like over the edge with it. And you can think
Hmm.
of somebody like Mac DeMarco, who is his stuff is so warped and so tape driven where he's like blowing out the tape sometimes that it has this quality of being almost like a pastiche of the stuff in the 80s. But this is recorded in 83, right? Like it would have been recorded at the beginning of that kind of phase of recording, but he's already kind of like blowing out the tape. He's already adding a lot of this like production feel. And again, like I don't know if like was that his idea? Was that where he wanted to go, or is it like just like a miraculous aspect of the production that
Happy
this
accident.
one-off
Yeah.
take came out that way? But also say it has this kind of like beautiful melancholic quality that you know he doesn't achieve anywhere else in the discography, and it's worth a listen.
Let's jump on in. Yeah, it's just got that really nice ethereal lo-fi thing to it, and it is kind of an interesting chicken or egg question. Like how intentional was that? Because it doesn't sound super refined, but man, it works.
Yeah.
Just for the mood.
Let's see what else do you want to cover? I mean, I think you had a couple other cool questions on the
Yeah,
list. I
pull
think,
those
and
up real quick.
I want to ask you this question because I'm curious. So we talked about the idea that Danny Fieselshire is I put him up there as with David Gilmour as one of the most melodic players, but who's up there for you as like most melodic guitar players out there?
One that came to mind immediately when I was thinking about that was Prince.
Oh,
Sometimes he gets kind of, I think his playing sometimes it's very flashy, but he also can write the very slow, melodic ballad parts. I mean, you take like the solos from like Purple Rain, for instance. I mean,
sure.
they're very tasteful. And then there's moments on the same album where he's just totally laying down the 30-second notes shred type stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think he's a very diverse one in that sense. Are you familiar much with Alan Holdsworth?
Oh yeah. Road games?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So he's an interesting one. His playing itself is very melodic, but he uses just so many weird voicings and intricate chords in it that it almost kind of takes away if you're looking for like, kind of I want to hear something in a major key that's going to make me, smile. Like you're not necessarily going to get that melody out of him.
Oh, he does a lot of chromatic passing notes, yeah.
Exactly. So within his playing and technique, it's just absolutely wonderful. But the voicings themselves, can definitely throw you sometimes, and you're like, oh, that's a really weird note there. But somehow because it's Alan Holdsworth, it works.
He was in my honorable mentions for that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And I think, kind of in that same vein, the one that really got me into believing in like shred guitar was Buckethead.
Okay.
I always come back to like his Colma album. It's very mellow, just like him, a looper pedal and an acoustic.
Sure.
Um, so like all melody there, but that doesn't mean the guy can't go completely schizo on every other solo and go chromatic, from E1 all the way up to the 24th fret at the top there and go bonkers with it. But he knows when to play melody. He can do it. It's just whether or not he wants to. I think half the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And he's got the chops for it too.
Yeah.
I had for up there other people that I would put up with Danny and Dave Gilmour. Classic rock era, Brian May, Randy Rhoads. I feel like those are like the classic like hyper melodic guys from that era.
Yes.
Um I think for 90s era, I went Rivers Cuomo. I feel like
Okay.
he he's definitely not in like the same world as Gilmore or Fuselshire in that he's never given the platform to do like a 10-minute solo
Right.
necessarily. There's no dog style moments in the Weezer catalog, but I think that Rivers has inspired a lot of guys like all the guys in Ozma, the other like West Coast band like Ovens, Tony Molina I think plays a lot like him, and I could listen to those guys all day. And I think like without Rivers, those bands they never like come up and do some of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah. No, that's a good thought actually. I mean, he does have some very like memorable guitar parts though from
like
a lot of the work in the
singable,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah. So no, I like that one.
I had a couple more. I had Kurt Vile. I feel like the solo on Weekend on a Pretty Days is very much like that kind of chill. I could, put that on a sunny summer morning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a 7-minute song, but it feels like it goes by fast. And you obviously
You
know that I'm a huge Japanese jazz guy, so I think like obviously Masayoshi Takanaka, Issei Noro from Cassiopeia, and Shigeru Suzuki were up there for me for melodic guitar.
Yeah,
So
I didn't even think to tap into that because that is a genre in it to itself that like has that idea mastered and really just prized above all. And yeah, I think more work is needed in that genre for me for sure.
I mean, I hope Takanaka sticks it out for a couple more years. I got to get tickets for the next
Right?
tour.
I know those look pretty crazy, even though you might have to sell, some of your organs to make it happen. But it's
Couple kidneys, it'll be all right.
yeah, exactly. You can grow some more, no biggie. Um, I was gonna say, oh, the one that came up when we were talking to just now, like classic rock era, was Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits.
Oh,
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
a lot of really just tasty licks and solos in there, and know when to do the pyrotechnics, but also just, hey, this is a nice, ballad song. Let's not overdo it. And he kind of could strike that balance really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's up there too. Let's see what else we have in our. I guess let's just go back to like best soundtracks. This was this was
Mm.
this whole
Yeah,
this week's thing was about movies in general. What are your favorite scores, OSTs, soundtracks?
man. Uh, we could definitely have a lot of fun on this one. Um, because man, I miss the idea of like the soundtrack as an event album. I think we're of the same age, so
Yeah,
we grew up, and it's like, oh man, I gotta get that Godzilla soundtrack. It's got this
yeah,
cut from this band on there. Oh man, look at this single soundtrack. Look at all these great grunge artists and indie things put together. So for me, like just on the nostalgia level, there's a lot of those albums like Wayne's World, singles, Bill and Ted, where it captures the fun of these movies, but also just has some really good rockin' tunes that were part of like my formative years.
sure.
But then I think more of as I got older, like hearing more scores and things for movies. The Wes Anderson stuff really stuck with me a lot because he used rock tunes, but he didn't go for like easy ones necessarily. He didn't go for the ones that like he picked the Who song, a quick one while he was away, in Rushmore. Like, okay, that's kind of a deep cut for the Who.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's
So
choosing deep cuts across the board. Yeah.
exactly, and like I just appreciate like he's kind of given a new life to these songs that otherwise, maybe on some level they're like skips. If I hear them, on an album, like they don't stand out. But now because I have this, visual connection with those songs, like it kind of breathes new life into it. And I think like of that, like in Life Aquatic, when they finally see the jaguar shark at the end, and they have a Sigur Rós coming on,
Sure.
like that to me is like the perfect example of like, well, either somebody's cutting onions or I'm gonna cry here because they like perfectly captured the pain and kind of like the victory of finding the shark and everything with the music, the visuals, and it's just like spot on. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I lean with mine. And I think just when it comes to quirky stuff, like anything Mark Mothersbaugh, puts his name to,
Oh God,
um,
yeah.
yeah, I grew up, or I should say, my little ones grew up watching Yo Gabba Gabba, and that
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
one of his things too. And like just fun, quirky music. I mean, obviously it's Devo in a sense, so of course it's going to be a little out there, but I don't know. He knows how to do it too. I love that stuff.
Oh, I went in such a different direction than you.
I'm sure. I'm excited. Yeah.
um, so I totally feel where you're coming from with the idea of like a soundtrack as a group of separate songs that like add to the nostalgia. And like my wife and I, Brian and I, were talking about the idea that you know a lot of Quentin Tarantino's movies are like based around the nostalgia of the music that he chooses for those moments. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like nostalgic songs coming out of like the Pulp Fiction soundtrack and stuff like that. But I felt like I should go in a direction where like the soundtracks themselves are kind of like self-referential. I didn't want to go in the
Mm.
direction of like pulling in outside songs into it. Um,
Yeah.
so I did choose Only Lovers Left Alive, the Jarmusch movie. I think that's a great soundtrack. I think it's really cohesive. It's like 90% songs by Jim's band Squirrel. Um, Another really cool one. There's a movie called Mysterious Skin. It came out in 2002. It is a collaboration between Harold Budd, who is like the ambient collaborator with Brian Eno, with
Yeah.
Robin Guthrie from Cocteau Twins,
Oh.
and it is exactly what you would imagine between a collaboration with the guy from Cocteau Twins and an ambient collaborator. Um, it is, it's great. The soundtrack itself is great. It's one of those soundtracks where you can like listen to it all the way through, and it's like it doesn't feel like a movie soundtrack. It just feels like a good ambient album. Um,
Nice.
I love the
Mysterious
soundtrack.
Skin, it's called.
Mysterious Skin
Okay, cool. I'm
came
gonna
out in
have to listen to that
2002,
one.
I
Yeah.
think. And then last like more modern one is the soundtrack to Drive My Car by Eiko Ishibashi. Um, I had the surprise of her actually opening for Michael Rocher at his date in Brooklyn. We had seen Drive My Car maybe like a year or two before that.
Hmm.
It's a movie for the Murakami book Drive My Car, or short story I think,
Yeah.
and Eiko Ishibashi did the whole soundtrack to that, which I liked at the time and I'd listened to a couple times. So when she like showed up on stage doing the opening act, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the girl from
That's
Drive My Car."
amazing.
So that was very cool, and again, that soundtrack is very good, very listenable in its own right. It's not like tied necessarily to the movie. Um, and then like two shout outs. Obviously, like the Shoji Yamashiro soundtrack to Akira is phenomenal. It's not modern, but it's a classic soundtrack that I really like. That again is listenable by itself. The weird like doll song where it's like oh, 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 oh,
Hmm.
like one of my favorite tracks. Love that thing, and and then like I could
Got
literally
it.
listen to any Joe Hisaishi like Ghibli soundtrack. It has such a stylization, and I think it's something that like now is an inspiration for a lot of people soundtracking like even video games. I feel like
Yeah.
the like Breath of the Wild soundtrack was very much inspired by the Hisaishi style, and I think that will kind of go on to be like a thing, like that kind of Ghibli soundtrack work.
No, that's a really good point on that one. I mean, it's definitely kind of influenced that line between video games and movies sometimes when you have that crossover, and like Brady loves to talk about Hideo Kojima, and it's kind of that same
Oh
thing of
yeah,
like, oh, this guy's pretty much a director, but he's just working a different film format, a video game instead of film, and the sounds same thing, like just really cinematic, brought in, and you really see that payoff there. The one thing I was going to say too that I love, and uh, I think it's used enough in movies because I don't want to get too sick of it, is that meta idea of like the soundtrack is part of the movie. Reservoir Dogs pops up for me like K Billy's super sounds of the '70s,
yeah,
and they're driving around and they hear it on the car, or Warriors, the '80s movie
yeah,
where
yeah.
they have the DJ playing the songs and doing the shout outs to the gangs and everything like that. And it's kind of like the music itself is just almost its own character, and that's kind of a fun way to make it memorable, I think, for me too.
Oh yeah, the Reservoir Dogs reference for sure. That's something that like connects with me.
Yeah,
Um,
they did the little homage to Warriors 2 in John Wick 4, where they had kind of one of the DJs as he's trying to get to the dual point, you know, calling out shots and songs, and everything was just kind of like, yep, you clearly watched Warriors one too many times, Mr. Stilinski. Good job.
I gotta go back and watch that. I guess I haven't seen the fourth one.
Okay, hey, it's a long one, but it's good.
Let's see. I think there were a couple
I don't want to
other.
spoil anything for you, but there are people that get shot in that movie. Just
Oh, I don't know if I can watch it. Too violent now. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little bit of the ultra violence.
I think, and I don't know if you want to like throw this one back at me, but I thought your question about the Oberhausen Manifesto and like
Mm.
if you had the opportunity to write a manifesto, what would it be for? I had a controversial opinion about that, but I wonder if that was something like that you thought about.
Yeah, I did. I thought about it more from a culinary standpoint,
Oh,
and
okay.
like kind of the idea of, and this is
No more cheesesteak burritos or whatever, or cheesesteak pizzas. You don't live in
well,
Philly, but let me tell you.
I can't even imagine. Like, there's two cheesesteak spots out here. I love them. They're sacred to me. I have a friend that grew up in Philly that opened one, and like, it's the best thing ever. But yeah, if I saw it bastardized like that on a pizza or a burrito, like, no, come on.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, and it's insensitive, But I think my manifesto would be like, if you're paying more than like $40 a head or $40 a plate, no modifications. Like, you're in a nice restaurant. These are chefs that have worked their whole career and developed this menu for you to enjoy. Like, if you want to write a menu and cook at, your own thing, like take the idea and cook it at home. No big deal. But like when you're doing that like high end formal coursed service type stuff, um, just let the chefs cook. Just let them do their thing and let them wow you. Like if you have something that's like gonna kill you, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll, I'll work around it. But like, if it's more of just, yeah, I don't know, could I have this side with this thing instead? Like, okay, it's not a menu writing convention. It's a restaurant. Let's just let the artist create, so to speak. So that's the one for my soapbox as a chef. But other than that, I think I just love that idea though of these artists coming together and saying like, we're pushing forward here. It's time to form a new day here and right here and now. Like, why not? Let's do it.
I'm there with you on the culinary thing. I feel like unless you've got celiac or you're like you have a shellfish allergy or a peanut
Right,
allergy,
right.
like yeah, get out of here. Try
Yeah,
it.
totally. Yeah, exactly. Don't no,
um,
don't be a kid. Come on.
exactly. I went in a different direction. I was saying, what about the healthcare industry? But I'm gonna leave that alone.
Stay tuned
um,
for episodes 5, 6, and 7 when we fix everything that is wrong in late stage capitalism America. Yeah.
yes, yes. Um, I think the one point that I wanted to make though about that is that I think one of the things that made the Oberhausen Manifesto so powerful at the time was that the government realized with the having these directors who were like the cream of the crop in Germany at the time, who really understood the technology, that if they pulled them out of the industry at large, that you'd be able to tell a really big difference between work that they were doing that they felt good about, that they were getting funded by people within their circle, and work that like the government was doing through grant service from lesser artists. And I think that was something that was scary to them. The idea that, if we put out like a government thing or some news broadcast or some other like documentary, there's going to be a very clear difference between something that's being done by some of these Oberhausen people and anybody else that's being sponsored by the government. And I think that fear has gone away. There's been
Yeah.
like a leveling of technology where anybody can get access to really, really good equipment. Your iPhone is going to be good enough to do a professional job of something. And also, just like the government at large doesn't care about looking bad. And I think we're seeing that now in the context of like AI corporate media. The idea that
Mm,
brands aren't scared of using AI to produce like absolute slop. You see these like gluts of and I don't want to blame like mom and pop shops for this because it's happening in other places, but you see a lot of like Facebook groups where somebody has a power washing business and it's this like AI garbage cartoon of like them and their husband or whatever that own the business. And in the 70s, like you wouldn't have been able to do that. Like you would have to hire somebody
right.
to draw a caricature of you. And
Yeah.
we're there's this thing now where like people don't care about the quality of the art that they're using to promote their business, to promote a message, to promote their government policy. And I think that's a bummer. Uh,
Yeah.
that's where I went.
Yeah. No, I yeah. There's a lot to unpack on that one, but I can echo the sentiments. I mean, there's almost like a loss of pride, in some of these things, and just like where's the artist getting the job to do, the that animation? Where's it's ugh. Now I'm depressed.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Hey,
But I
reality's
mean,
like that
it's
sometimes. Yeah,
people like us that'll bring it back, right? I mean,
totally.
yeah,
And sometimes we gotta, make the mistakes to learn from them too. So, we'll see how this all swings back and forth over the years.
true, true. Um, anything else from the questions that you wanted to kind of cover?
Yeah, this is a quick and easy one. Maybe,
Sure.
maybe it isn't. You referenced, I think, in the narrative part of this, the director Pasolini,
Oh,
activist, artist,
yes.
Italian crazy man at large. Have you seen Salò 120 Days?
I have not seen Sallow. It is on my list of movies that I might watch if I ever have the stomach. It's on there with Unit 731 as well. Um, and I haven't come back to it. Yeah, I'm well aware of Pasolini. I'm aware of Sallow. I'm aware of Unit 731 and some of those more like
Mm.
shock oriented movies from the late 70s, early 80s. But have you seen it?
I have, and I don't know if I did the right thing or the wrong thing by reading about it first, so I
Sure.
kind of knew what to expect. But like, yeah, if I was to walk into a theater and had no idea, I'd be
Oh, you mean in the
horrified.
70s?
Yeah,
Oh,
like if
gotcha.
yeah, if I had just, hey, let's go out and see a movie. Oh, this is playing. Okay, cool. Well, I don't know much about this, but let's definitely watch. You
Salo.
never know.
Oh, it's an
Yeah, like
Italian movie.
it must be good. It's about the mafia or something. It's probably a Godfather follow up. Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. So yeah, like I've seen it. It's out there. There's a it, it's worse than Caligula. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I haven't seen that either, no.
Okay, I mean that
I can
one.
imagine it being worse than that, though.
Yeah, it gets pretty artistic. Let's just call it that and leave it
Okay.
at that. Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take I'll
But
take
no,
artistic.
yeah, it's I don't know. Check it off sometime and just don't eat beforehand.
I will not.
Yeah,
I'll come
yeah,
back to you with my notes.
yeah, yeah. Worth the watch. Well, what do you think we might dive into next time?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we could do Kraftwerk deep dive. We haven't done that,
Mm,
and I think we've talked a little bit about them, but I think a lot of folks when they think of krautrock, their mind goes to Kraftwerk. They don't
yeah.
necessarily know about the scene from the 70s, and Kraftwerk is by far like the most popular band coming out of that scene. And I would say like their early work is reminiscent of what the other folks were doing. Certainly, like they have overlap with Noi from membership and so on.
Hmm.
Um, but they very much veer off into their own territory after that. Um, yeah. Oh, any other
That'd be
topics
a fun
you
one.
thought we should cover?
Well, I was going to propose too, and I talked to Brady about this. We could also deep dive the Kraftwerk albums that are on the NME list and do a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
of a hybrid episode where maybe you kind of do some narrations and we come back with our, material and kind of do a three-man jam and talk some Kraftwerk albums and do a
Love that.
do a nice deep
Yeah.
dive on them and yeah, just kind of have fun as a whole team again.
Sick. All right. Yeah, yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
So yeah, I guess for next time we'll do the Kraftwerk deep dive. Excited to talk. Which ones are on the 500? Do you know?
Let me pull that up real quick, because I believe there was two. I could be mistaken.
My guess would be what Man Machine and maybe Computer World.
Let's see. Man Machine is number 57. Number 81 is Trans Europe Express,
Oh, Trans Europe Express.
and then 101 is Computer World. So
Oh, we
not
got
only
three. All right, all
three
right.
of them, but like three pretty high ranking, all things considered. So yeah, I kind of
And
like it.
Trans Europe Express has Hall of Mirrors, right?
Yes, yes,
Oh, that's one of my favorite of all time.
I like that one. I mean, we'll obviously get into it more as we could do Kraftwerk, but that they're not quite silly Kraftwerk for me yet. Like the We Are the Robots era stuff yet. It's still a little bit more of synth like long form songs and stuff. So I like that one.
Yeah, I mean,
Computer World. I like the description of that. Yeah, noted for its prescient glimpse into the information age and dispassionate yet funky electronic rhythms.
oh, the idea of Florian Schneider going for a rendezvous is hilarious to me. Just considering like
Mm,
what he would wear in his later life, those like insane plaid suits. I can't
yeah,
even imagine.
yeah.
Um,
He's one of one. That's for sure.
yes, he was one of one for sure. Awesome, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That's yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while. Um, and some great biographies coming out of that. The Karl
Yes.
Bartos's biography is really good. Um, Wolfgang Flor's biography is controversial, but also very telling of his
Mm.
relationship with Ralph and Florian.
Well, I do have to finish reading the Florian Fricka translation you did. I'm really enjoying that one, but I think, yeah, next might be on to some craft work writing. So I will have to sidebar with you and see which one you recommend the most.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Kyle. Again, always a treat. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, by all means, like, subscribe, whatever you want to call it. Check out the playlist Kyle put together. It's a really good glimpse at Popol Vuh, Can, Tangerine Dream, and how they contributed to the new German cinema of the '70s and even into Hollywood in the '80s too. It's kind of a
Sure.
cool crossover. So, Kyle, thanks again. Any parting thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that covers it. I would say, like, for the Oberhausen, manifesto folks, don't deny your vision. If you're an artist, do the thing you want to do, stick to it, and hopefully, you will find your audience. Let's say that.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Cool.